And the politicians will say, oh, it's in the pipeline. But within our tradition, we have polite protocol for making and rejecting requests. These protocols tend to enhance cohesion and peaceful coexistence among people at the community level. This will, of course, feed into the national cohesiveness, since the national cohesion is a complex aggregation of the micro units. So if we can start doing this at our individual levels, at the unit levels, at the society levels, then they will be transmitting into the national. Mr. Chairman, having greeted you and our audience, and then requested for some basic things, let me now draw our attention to the pragmatics and some of the issues about thanking. Why do we thank people? Mr. Chairman, thanking is an expressive speech act that indicates that the speaker sincerely appreciates something received or benefited from. Thanking can be verbal or non-verbal, or a combination of the two. Among Ghanaians, signs of gratitude for individuals are conventionally extended to their family or group. Once a gift is accepted or services rendered, the recipient must, as a rule, thank the donor or service provider, irrespective of its nature and magnitude. There are some of us here, if you say, if somebody asks, how do I get to BAM Library? So, oh, go straight and turn left. You say, oh, okay. Instead of saying thank you, they want you to give them about $100. Oh, thank you very much. But the magnitude is important, but of course it's obligatory to render thanksgiving and show gratitude. When people have given people some things, later on they meet them and they will say, thank you for the other day. Sometimes the recipient may have to thank the giver more than twice for the same item, or even consult his friends to go to the donor's place and say, thank you for doing this. That's why there's a term. In those days, traditionally, if you bought something for your wife, the next day or two, your wife and her family members will come to your house as the man, because you were not living in the same house, and say, thank you for giving this to my wife. If you engage yourself in this boyfriend, girlfriend, we call it Oguro Medamasi. Oguro Medamasi. Because if you give something to your girlfriend, it's given in secrecy. So the next day, the girlfriend can come to your house and say, oh, thank you for buying a sewing machine for me. So if you do that, even though you are playing a game, it's a game of not showing gratitude. So thanking deserves gratitude. And what are some of the terms we use when we want to thank a person? We can say medawasi. That seems to be the basic. Memawamo. Sometimes we say wekume or wasidani, as if showing gratitude refers to bankruptcy. You owe the person and have to go and pay back. Or miwia didi. Or sometimes they will say memawajari. I want to explain what the basic one medawase is. It's made up of I, that is the speaker. Da can mean to lie or to sleep, because after all, you need to lie before you sleep. So no wonder the two words can have just a single word in a can. And asi means under or below. So conceptually, when somebody does something for you, you are saying that I'm elevating you higher because of your benevolence, and I'll be lying low. It can be even between two peers. You're telling your peer member that I know we are all equal, but for the sake of what you've done for me now, you are up there and I'm lower there. So medawase means I'm elevating you and I'm down there. The other one, miwia didi, shows that what is given out is of high quality. Because when somebody dies, people have to fast in those days for 7 days. So if you are given the license that because of what you've done, you are exempted. Anytime, if I should die before you and you hear that I'm dead, go and start eating. But of course, these days, this rule is not working. Because people attend funerals and they eat fufu, they eat banku, they eat all kinds of things. So beware the day is that. Mr. Chairman, let us look at some of the ethnographic situations for rendering formal thanking. I've already said that thanking can go on day in, day out, but some are institutionalized. A few examples are, after childbirth, we see ladies in the villages going from house to house, thanking people. They are thanking them for praying for them when they were pregnant. Again, in those villages, if you were pregnant, you see your colleagues fetching water for you, bringing firewood. So if by God's grace you've now delivered, you need to express gratitude to them. Funeral activities are also full of greetings. In our part of the world, if you greet, it has to be announced. And then you sit down and you see the family members coming around to say thank you for that. In those days, when a husband bequeathed some properties, either farms or houses, to the wife and the children, they had to render official thanksgiving, and that included the offering of schnapps and some other precious things. Mr. Chairman, thanking normally make the closing of events in most communicative encounters. It marks the closing of events such as public debates, lectures, seminars, and workshops. So I'm sure when we are done, somebody will come here and say vote of thanks. Mr. Chairman, thanking is even important at the national level. For example, Ghana as a nation organized a national Thanksgiving service at the Independence Square in January 2009 to thank the Almighty God and all Ghanaians for going through a successful general elections in December 2008. To thank God for a peaceful conduct of general election is to tell Ghanaians that it was God that had done it. The thanking was also meant to bring us together as a nation. Let me finish this section by sending you to one of the writings of Professor Nketia, and I'm happy he's here. He has a small book. The title is Aryan 7, Nketia 1975. And I'm reading just one verse. Wope adia jia sua ayeye. Nafa ododa ne odochi. Oh, yeye wa ya ay manenya ofe. So bi ya wade na anya ofa. Enye ayeye no na nipakro no asem e na wompe. That's from Nketia. If you like receiving gifts, learn appreciation. But of course, some of us are perpetual recipients of items. They are the people I call Adetia Medasi group of people. They are always thanking people for what people have done for them. Nobody goes to their house to thank them for what they have done. Mr. Chairman, the brief outline of thanks shows the importance of thanking in our society and social life, and also an aspect of Ghanaian culture and politeness. Thanking also shows that the recipient recognizes both the gifts and the services and the personality of the donor. More importantly, beyond the donor and the recipient, the ability to say thank you in any form is a mark of Kasapa-Kasahuam and polite language. So it presupposes that if somebody gives you something and you fail to express gratitude, then I can't say you are impolite, but you know the type of person you are. Mr. Chairman, having finished with thanking, colleagues in academia and in the media, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us now consider another routinized speech act that can help us to grow as a country, and this is apology. Most of the conflicts we have encountered stem from the fact that we do not show remorse for our wrongdoings and then apologize. It is nothing but just saying me pauchel or medakuku or ofine or me pa wachele. That's from Izema. Every apology has some parameters. And the parameters are the apologizer, the person who is apologizing, and then the person who is accepting the apology. We refer to him as the apologizee. So there's the apologizer who is the speaker, and there's the apologizee who is receiving the apology. And in between them is the man or the powerful persuasive language of apology. Apologies do not change the physical world. They do not reverse the realities of the physical world. They can only modify the socio-cultural situation and bring psychological relief to both the apologizer and the apologizee. So I remember when we were young, if somebody stepped on your toe or on your sore and the person says, Kafra, the response was, Kafra kumkro. Kafra can't heal any wound. So what we are saying is that the apology itself does not change the physical realities of the world. It rather gives a psychological and inner state of relief when the person here says, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done this. Mr. Chairman, social parameters like distance, power, age, rank, status, and gender also contribute to the use, nature, and intensification of apology. For example, older and superior persons do not normally apologize to the younger and the junior members in our social context. But these days, I beg to differ. I want to revise these notes. Because in the olden days, it wasn't so rampant seeing adults committing all kinds of impolite behavior. But these days we have a lot of adults. They could be pastors, they could be MPs, they could be lecturers, they could be professors like myself, committing all kinds of impolite behavior. And then we will say that, oh, this part of the world, elders should not apologize to children. Probably we have to revise these notes because we need to be sincere when it comes to apology. Every apology has 4 basic mechanisms, and they are: 1, explanation of the cause that brought about the offense. If you are going to apologize, you should explain why you are apologizing. You have to explain what caused the offense. And then there's the admission of the apologizer. Every apologizer should be sincere to say that I did it. Don't do that again. Forbearance. Mr. Chairman, apology has some semantic and lexical issues or expressions. In account, for example, the popular phrase for apology is me pauchel. It's made up of me, that is I. Pa is to dove, like dove your heart. And chow is this. So me pauchel means I dove my heart for you, Mr. Vice Chancellor. I respect you so much that I can't speak to you still wearing my heart. Ofane. When we say that, we are humbling ourselves. Mr. Chair, in a can, apologies could be direct or indirect. Some of the indirect ones are memwapa, manshada. It means it is not intentional. Or they can say, Dasibre wudibim, you're right, you are innocent. Sometimes they can say, Makum. It doesn't mean I physically killed you, but I've done something that is unpleasant to you. Or meprao, I've hurt you. Or mahao, I've troubled or caused trouble to you. In saying all these, the speaker is saying that I'm wrong. So what is an apology? How can we briefly look at it? An apology is what we say when we have done something wrong. It's an acknowledgement of an omission or a commission of an act. If we acknowledge that there's an omission, it means that there's something that we should have done that we haven't done. So that's an omission. I should have swept this place. I haven't swept it. So I can beg my mother that, please, mother, forgive me. This is an omission. It can also be a commission, something that you shouldn't have done, that you have done. You are not supposed to be breaking plates, but you've broken them. So it's a commission, and you have to say, I am sorry for that. Among Ghanaians, an apology may transcend the apologizer to some relatives. So when you do something which is unpleasant to somebody and you're going to apologize, sometimes the apology is not for the person you've offended alone, but it goes to his parents, because we are sharing a communal society. But for apology to be complete, we need to be sincere. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, even though apology looks simple, it is not as simple as that. It involves social psychology and the viability of our community. A polite offender who wants to bring about peace and harmony, negative actions. In the case of serious cases involving unequal status, such as between a chief and a subject, the offender may have to consult another person who is called the mediator. And in Akan, we say, me ko Jane Tua. Jane is to run, Tua is to meet, but Jane Tua is to take refuge to somebody who can help. So you go to the person's house and say, please, I beg you, I've caused an offense, and I know if I show my face up there, it will be very bad. So I want you to go and appeal on my behalf. But the Jantua Hine should not be anybody at all. He should be a person of higher reputation, a person with oral skills, a person who is communicatively competent, who will go and use all kinds of persuasive devices to tone down the gravity of the offense. So don't just go and tell somebody who is not an orator to go and appeal on your behalf. You apologize. So please, I apologize. This is not a sincere apology. But a sincere apology should be showing some remorse from the psychological state of mind of the person who has committed the offense. The other angle is that the person who is accepting the apology should also accept it in good faith and in a very sincerely manner. But this part of the world, in the culture that I know, the person will say, oh, makamate. So no wonder, even this time, some party members will go back into the 60s and say, oh, your predecessors did this, and now you are here. We are going to deal with you. So people will recount some of the things done during Nkrumah's regime. Some people will mention what Victor Uso did. Some people are still recounting what Rawlings did. Some people are recounting what Kufuor did. Because we are saying, me the chat there, now so me kose it will be trim. Mr. Chairman, if Ghanaians decide to forgive and forget and accept apology in a very sincerely manner, then of course, the positive aspects of apology will be manifested in our ethnic, partisan, domestic, and religious conflicts, and tensions in the country will be reduced. But what do we see in our country? Some Ghanaians show no remorse for their misbehavior. People who use their power and authority to refrain from apologizing for their mistakes are abhorrent. Even by refusing to apologize, they are showing that, one, they are uncultured. 2, they are insincere to themselves because they have committed the offenses, but they are not accepting them. They are also showing that they are impolite. Unfortunately, people equate politeness with urbanization. So they think that all of us in Accra here, we are polite. No. Politeness has got to do with being tactful towards the plight of others. So if you commit an offense, why not be sincere, irrespective of your status, irrespective of your power, irrespective of your position, and say, please, I'm wrong. Mr. Chair, let me now touch on my final topic for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to direct my attention now to invectives, the topic that is becoming a canker in our society if we don't handle it very well. I will explore the use of invectives in the context of contemporary Ghanaian politics and its implications for national cohesion, peaceful coexistence, and national development. Mr. Chairman, I can say with some confidence that Ghanaians are generally not happy about the use of invectives and political insults. Nevertheless, a section of our society, notably the politicians, are swimming in it. It is so sad that invectives have rather become very popular in our body politics. And anytime I visit this topic, I feel like weeping. I presume that people who employ insults are not aware or are not fully aware of it. If they are fully aware of it and they are dancing to the tunes of invectives, then Mr. Chairman, is unfortunate. Atemidie, Adapacha, Kasentri, Empuecha, Akutiahunu. Any one of these cannot be accepted. Invectives are abusive words or expressions with violent censure or reproach on the addressee. They are intemperate languages that are emotionally oriented and considered inappropriate and embarrassing. Invectives, Mr. Chairman, I consider them as linguistic weapons. So, Mr. Chairman, permit me to use a military analogy here. Invectives are like a warfare between participants in communicative situation. So if we are conversing, you are there, I'm over there, and we are using insults, it looks like we are at a military ground, at a battle. The participants are the combatants, and the weapon is nothing but language. It means, therefore, that an invective is a weapon. Mr. Chairman, when we use invectives, we psychologically and socially affront and hurt the feelings of one another. The invectives throw psychological bomb onto the heart of the person. That's why when somebody insults you, there and then, you see that it looks as if your heart is turning round and round. That's why invectives is a weapon. It can kill, it can hurt, it can demoralize people. Invectives tend to tarnish the image of individuals and curb cooperation between people. Most invectives denigrate, humiliate, and condemn the target to the highest level. Since invectives are weapons in the military warfare, there's something I call linguistic disarmament. Linguistic disarmament simply means that there should be prohibition, inhibition, and avoidance of verbal insults. Mr. Chairman, invectives can be categorized into various forms, and they are derived from one, animal names. Somebody can insult you using animal names. Sometimes they can say you are a pig or preko. Sometimes they can look at you and say, we are Ujai, you are a sheep. These are animal names. They can even say that you are a beast. And in account they will say, we are boa. When they say that, they are saying that, yes, we admit that you have all the human qualities. But your behavior is incompatible with what other humans do. It becomes worse when they say, we are boa funu. Because if it is simply abua, at least the abua can reason. When you pick a gun, it will run away. The abua has motion, it can move from one place to another place. But if they say abua funu, you are motionless, you are irrational, there's nothing you can do. That's worse off. But for a human being to tell another human being, we are abua, is unfortunate. The invectives can also be targeted at diseases. You have some chronic disease, and they will pick that and blow it up, exaggerate it. It can also be political, ethnic, and when they do that, what they use is that they pick up a simple thing, specific, and you are not behaving when they say, hey, where do you come from? Are you mentioning an ethnic group? They say, almost. So they are using a specific thing to refer to the general. It can also be even marital. Somebody introduces the wife, and the person starts looking from the head to the toe. He says, also urinate. I'm sure it can also be Usu Ukuni. And the person responds with an affirmative. He says, yes. Opa! Mr. Chairman, the invectives can also be targeted at one's religion. You mention your church or your religious denomination, say, where? You mentioned, So my first example that I've given will tell you that using invectives is not bringing anything to anybody. The invectives features are targeted and they are meant to deviate from the norm, either physically, mentally, politically, religiously, or socially. Invectives are considered more offensive when used in public. I'm sure in our inner rooms, we insult each other sometimes. But it's not your duty to come out in public like this. So it becomes worse if it is used in public. In some cases, the expression from a speaker compels the targeted person to search from the register and come out with something that is harsher. And we find this among the politicians. If party A communicators use something on a party leader from B, they say, oh, is that what you are saying? Okay, you wait. They go into the register. They tap the historical facts.